All right. So before we get going, I just want to make sure everybody has what they need. We're going to do a forward bending practice today, and I always encourage people to be able to support their forehead in certain postures. And so there's three options. So the most height would be the edge of a chair. The kind of second level of height would be a setup that includes a bolster, or it could be a couple blankets if you roll them, and then you incline some blocks. So you can play with the heights of the blocks and then create this kind of incline. You can add a blanket over that. That's kind of like the mid-level of height for the head. And then other option is kind of lower. You might put some blankets down and maybe a combination of blocks. So just know that you have the props at your disposal always to kind of build up the height you need, but it will be helpful to be able to put your head down today. So we're going to start just getting centered, arriving into our bodies, preparing for class. So make sure you have enough height underneath your sitting bones. This could be a blanket or two. And then today's the 8th of November. So taking your dominant cross-legged position, try to cross right at the middle of the shins, and then move the flesh out from underneath your sitting bones. Sometimes taking both hands and just kind of rolling the inner thighs down, lifting the outer thighs up can help create that spreading underneath between the sitting bones. And then using the floor, your props for support to move your shoulders in line with your hips. And try to find even length to the front of the torso and the back. We don't want to be sway back. We don't want to be pushing into the abdomen. We also don't want to be rounded into the back. So trying to create a kind of nice evenness. And then as best you can, keep your shoulders back. Join the hands in front of the chest. And close the eyes. And just lightly looking down, away from your brain, toward your cheeks. Bringing your attention down to the parts of yourself that are connecting with the floor, connecting with the props. And also the parts of yourself that maybe aren't connecting with the floor or the props, but they're part of the foundation of your pose, like your shoulders. Even the gaze looking away from the brain supports kind of planting your energy into the earth. Releasing into the groins, into the hips. Maybe trying to sense the weight of your femur bones, those heavy thigh bones, the heaviest bones in your body. Even the lower jaw is part of the foundation here, releasing the lower jaw. Letting the tongue rest at the floor of the mouth. And when we really tune into what supports us here, then we start to find some light elements. The spine might become lighter. The abdomen might grow softer. The skin of your face. We can strike that balance of foundation and the lightness in the body, and we start to really come into the yogic mind state, where we're able to kind of hold opposing themes and ideas in the mind at once. Keeping your chest lifted, keeping it spread. Bow towards your heart. Release your hands. And as you're ready, lift your head and let your eyes gently come open. Simple. And welcome. So please pardon my voice. I'm getting over a cold. Feeling a lot better, but still sounding kind of bad. So we're going to do a series of deep forward bends today. And we're going to begin in a back bend just to kind of really imprint that we want to maintain this very open chest, this spread chest. So we're going to take Supta Baddha Konasana first, the reclining bound angle pose. If you don't have a bolster to recline back on, you can always work with those two rolled blankets. We are going to use a belt or a strap for the legs today. And you'll probably need additional height where your head will be on the bolster. So you might include a blanket there where the head will approximately be. And then once you have the bolster set up, you can sit in front of it. You may need some support under your knees, like your blocks, so that your hips can release and your groins can soften. And we'll make a loop with the strap that will be big enough to go from the back, the lower back, and under the toes. So remember, it doesn't go under the knees, it goes inside the knees. So you get the loop nice and big, you can cinch it off once it's kind of in the position we want it to be in. It goes down to your hip line, across the sacrum, passes over the hip creases. Again, you're going to see the strap inside the legs, it's not under the legs. And then you're tucking the other piece of the loop under the toes. Then you're going to tighten off any excess that you can. You can always tighten more once you're down. And take a moment to lift your buttocks away from the very end of the bolster so we don't have it jammed up against there. We want the lower back to pretty much be clear of anything, the floor or the bolster. The bolster should start where your rib cage, the lowest ribs are, and then make sure your head has enough support that you're not poking your chin up in the ceiling. Your forehead and chin are pretty even. And we're going to start with our arms kind of low, our hands lower than our shoulders, palms up. Lifting the shoulder blades toward the chest, which will also help your shoulders descend. And again, if you feel any pinching or discomfort in your lower back, just try to move the buttocks away from the end of the bolster. You might even tip the pelvis in that posterior tilt. So you might have to lift your hips from the floor momentarily to create that adjustment. And then once you've arrived in the position, you're just going to be there for a full minute. You shouldn't have to exert much effort at all, but really inviting the lifting and the spreading of the chest that we do try to maintain somewhat in our deep forward bends. You're just going to kind of self-guide with this, but the next stage would be to just lengthen the arms overhead. Imagine you're holding like a shoebox or a block between your hands. So kind of a little bit clamping the hands toward each other just so they stay even with the shoulder width. Extending out through your fingernails. And treating the arms as extensions of your torso. Let your attention move throughout your body. Check in with your legs, your hips, inner thighs, the pelvis, the abdomen. And as you reach out through the fingernails, try to kind of conversely draw the shoulders deeper into the trunk without losing the spaciousness to the sides of the trunk. And start to bring the arms back down again. And use your hands to assist your legs out of your bound angle position. So you might need to grab the belt and free the legs. You might loosen the strap. Once the legs are outside of that container of the strap, you're just gonna come into that counter pose where the feet are grounded wide, the knees are angled in. Hands might fold into the belly or the chest. And then gently move to your side to help yourself come up. And we'll do a series of seated forward bends now. So the first thing you want to make sure is that you have adequate height under your sitting bones. And the way you'll know, well, one, you might feel it. You might just know when you know. But otherwise, you can just run your hand across the lower back. And if it's upright, not angled back or rounded, then you have adequate height. We don't need more. We just need sufficient height. And we're going to return to our bound angle legs. So once you've kind of found your perch on the blanket support, make sure you're right at the edge. You're using it more like a wedge to tilt your pelvis forward than a platform. So your sitting bones are right at the edge. You may still need support under your knees. So taking it if you feel any gripping in the groins or in the hips, putting some blocks or blankets there. So this will be a forward bend. You may want to pick the chair. Since it's your first forward bend, you may want to set up your kind of inclined bolster setup, which is again the 2 blocks and a bolster, or a substitute of some rolled blankets. And you may not know, so you might just kind of do a quick forward bend from bound angle and see what you're going to need. And the thing, just a reminder, we know this, but not to smush your nose into any prop. So if you are going to rest your head on the bolsters, for instance, you might want to create a little platform for your forehead so that your nose is free and clear when you rest the face. So once you've created your setup, then you're just going to fold forward. You might additionally use your hands. So if you're using the bolster setup, you might stack your fists. Same with the chair, you might cross the arms and use the arms. And once you've kind of found the appropriate support height, again, just like the reclining bound angle, pretty much surrendering. So you're not really exerting a lot of effort from this point on. You can observe the body kind of starting to, in its own time, releasing those closed fists. The only thing you might really be kind of working for on an effort level here is to keep your shoulder blades moving toward the chest, to keep the chest from contracting, as we know it likes to do. Paying attention to that moving target of your edge, knowing if there's a desire, if there's an instinct in the body to go deeper, you're going to move with that, adjust your props down. But make sure it's not coming from the place of the ego or some other force telling you to go deeper. When we take bound angle shape, remembering we don't want to kind of collapse the lateral space across the lower back. So imagine the flesh of your sacrum, and we're attempting to kind of smooth it out. So one way you can do that is to kind of draw the abdomen toward the lower back. I oftentimes refer to the underside of an umbrella. Just 4 more breaths, nice, smooth, easy, lengthened out breaths. Taking an inhale and just kind of rising up and out of it. We are going to take Janu Shirshasana. The incline bolster doesn't really work for that, but you can use the bolster in a combination of blocks and blankets. You can also use the chair. We're going to keep the right foot as it is, and we're going to extend. So stand up your left knee, extend the leg, and then slide it over. Draw the right heel in as close as it will come, and you can adjust the flesh of your leg if you need to create a little bit more of a grounded position with that leg. You can move the flesh of the calf muscle in and kind of grab the under thigh and pull it out. Also prop that right knee if you need to. And then use your hands to kind of turn your torso to the left leg. We're going to begin with a twist before we forward bend and ground the forehead. So with the chest kind of facing the left leg, you're going to go beyond. So you're going to turn yourself even more so, taking your right hand to the left thigh, outer thigh, and sliding your left hand a little closer to the mid body, behind your body. So you're essentially overshooting the left leg, turning in an upright spine. And as you turn clearly away from that right leg, bring a lot of attention there. Try to not only extend from the inner right thigh out through the inner knee, but kind of anchor that knee downward toward the floor. And we're only going to release the twist halfway so that we arrive really pointing directly at this left leg. And now is when you'll just kind of build up the height you need, or grab that chair and put it over your left leg. Sometimes I use a block and hold it with my hands, and I angle it. So I have to hold the block so it stays put. And I use that as a support for the head. You might be able to use that block and also add your fists. And of course I have this bolster underneath. So again, any combination of props so that you can get your forehead down. And the action really here is to keep working with a grounding right leg, and also keep gently moving the shoulder blades toward the chest. Don't let the upper back round. Continue to gently turn your torso from right to left. And every time you breathe in, use it as an opportunity to lengthen the trunk out. Extend the trunk over the left leg. Try to visualize your body. If you were hovering above yourself, try to create level shoulders. Don't let your right shoulder pop up. Don't let your left shoulder sink. And also try to see with your mind's eye that the sides of the torso are even. Maybe noticing that tingling feeling in your right lower back. Maybe it's elsewhere in your body. Again, dropping height if you need to, if your body is ready to go a little deeper. We're going to be here another half a minute. Inhale to rise out of it, lengthen up. Let your torso turn back to the middle space. We're going to draw this left leg back in. So bend the knee. Put yourself back in Baddha Konasana. Grab the ankles or shins. And as you kind of pull up with the hands, press down with the knees. Sit up nice and tall. Gently contract your pelvic floor. Try to create that even front and back torso. And then we'll be moving to the opposite side. So the left foot will stay in place. Stand up the right knee. extend the leg, and then open it wide. Just a safer transition for the knee. Draw the left heel in. Again, you can adjust the flesh of the calf muscle, rolling that from the outer calf in, and then oppositely with the underneath the thigh, you'll draw the flesh from the inner thigh out. And this can help your knee sit down a bit more, of course, prop if you need to. And then use your hands, again, to kind of steer your torso to point at that right leg. And then we're going to go beyond again. So taking the left hand to the outer right thigh, and then placing your right hand directly behind you, centered kind of behind the buttocks and sacrum, turning. As you turn away from the left leg, lengthen from the left inner thigh out through the inner knee, outward and down is the direction of that leg. And after the next exhale, you're going to let yourself halfway out of the twist. And you'll set up whatever you need to get your head down on this side. Any combination of things. You might do a test run to see what you'll need, probably similar to first side. And then attempting to align your torso with that right leg as you come down. If you're able to free the hands, it can be helpful to rest your arms so that your shoulders are kind of relaxed. They're not crowding your ears or clamping and gripping. So those action items with the left leg, staying attentive and active. The rotation of the torso has to be continuous so that we don't pull out of that alignment. And of course, moving the shoulder blades in. Again, picture yourself hovering overhead and observe the shoulders, observe the sides of the torso. Try to align the shoulders more level, lengthen that kind of scrunched up feeling with your right side body, extending the side body between the side ribs from the armpit to the hip crest. Dropping height as you need to. And 3 more breaths here. Next inhale, rising up and returning the torso to the middle space. Moving your head supports out of the way, standing up your left knee, extend the leg, and then slide your legs open. Okay, so from here, we're going to move into Trianga Eka Mukha Pada Paschimottanasana. So this is the pose where we have one leg in the hero shape and one leg extended that we fold over. So for those of you that have to modify your hero leg, option 1 is to take a lot of height between your buttocks and your and the floor. Otherwise, you can do a Marichiyasana. We're going to start with the right leg in the bent knee position. So Marichiyasana would be putting the foot on the ground and the knee up, foot in line with the sitting bone. So those of you that are going to take Virasana, or right leg in Virasana, I usually recommend a block for the opposite buttock side because we have a lot of height between our extended leg buttock and the floor. But you may not need as much. I need a block, but you might need it more than you would need just sitting directly on the ground. So 2 blankets. Make sure you take some time to create the wise actions of your Virasana leg. So you see your knee calf is evenly looking ahead, it's not angled in, your toes are pointing back, and your hip should be inside the heel. You're not sitting on your heel. It's a hero leg, so the heel is a little wider than the knee. And the height under the left buttock should be sufficient so that the hips are matched. We don't have the left hip sloping down. So once you have all of that, we're going to sit up nice and tall. And again, we're going to start with the twist that kind of overshoots the extended leg. So raise your right arm. Really activate your left leg so it's firm, it's straight. On an exhale, turn to the left, take your right hand down to the outer thigh, and then sliding once again, your left hand to the mid area behind you. You might need a block for support or something to elevate the hand. We don't want to be leaning back. And once again, we're turning away from the right leg. Bring lots of your attention to it, especially the outer right shin. Think about the flesh of that shin rolling down. If you're in Marichyasana, think about the outer right buttock and hip coming down. Think about the inner right foot grounding if you're in Marichyasana. And now after the exhale, again, let yourself halfway out of the pose. Place the chair or a combination of props over your left leg. And as you extend over that leg, keep your sternum really in alignment with the left leg. So we don't want to come out of that twist completely. We want to keep ourselves really in line, breastbone and left leg. Connecting your head, you might need to include your hands. Resting the arms if that's available to you. And again, keeping a lot of attention in your anchor, which is your right leg, and the outer shin rolling down, the small toe pressing down, the kneecap pointing forward. Breastbone moving forward. And every time you inhale, lengthen the trunk out over your left leg. Like there's a little rope attached to the top of the head. Someone's gently pulling. Every time you breathe in, there's an extension. Those of you that are hyperextensive in your knees, beware that you can hyperextend the left knee here. So you might need to keep a little bit of a micro bend in the knee, meaning don't pop the knee to the back of the knee. Keep your knee stabilized as best you can. And sometimes you even need to put some supports behind the knee if you tend to hyperextend. Last few breaths here. Maybe take the head lower if you're able to. And just catch one of the next inhales and use it to help you rise up with a nice spacious torso. So we're going to transition off the height under the left buttock first. So just kind of move some weight to the right side, remove that height, then sit down on the left buttock and step. This is for if you're in hero pose, stepping your foot into Marichyasana position, right foot. Again, safer for the knee. Extend the leg. And then we're going to set up side two. So it might be the same setup, hero. You might do Marichyasana, left leg. And if you're taking that hero pose, sufficient height under the right buttock now. Take some time with your alignment. The knees should be together. If you're in the Virasana leg, if you're in Marichyasana, the knees are not together, they're hip distance. Take a peek at your hero knee. Make sure you see four corners looking forward evenly. Roll the flesh of the outer left shin toward the floor. And then raising the left arm up, exhale, take that left hand to your right thigh, right hand propped behind you, centered behind you, as close to your body as you can bring it. And every exhale, just a little bit of a turn. With a lot of attention into that left leg, especially the outer shin, rolling down the small toe, pressing down all 5 toenails, grabbing the floor. And if you're in Marichyasana, beware that you have even weight to your inner and outer foot. And after the next exhale, you're going to come out of the twist halfway, aligning your breastbone with your right leg. You're going to attempt to evenly extend forward, propping however you need to. Getting the forehead down somehow. Keep inviting weight back over to the left side. You're going to feel a lot of momentum pooling to the right here. So our work is really to keep a sense of being held and anchored on the Marichyasana side or the Virasana side, the bent knee side. Continuing to press the shoulder blades in, continuing to steer the torso to the right, continuing to align the shoulders, continuing to extend the torso with every in-breath. Last couple of breaths. When you're ready to take your next in-breath, just use it to lift you out of the pose, come upright. And we're going to drop the height out from under the right buttock first. And then you can sit down on the right buttock, step that left foot in front of your sitting bone, and then extend the leg. So we're going to come into Paschimottanasana. Pretty deep forward bend. So we want to give our sitting bones adequate height. We're just looking for that upright sacrum, not rounded. And the sitting bones perched right at the edge of your blanket or blankets. And if you have fleshier or more muscular legs, you might just kind of take your hands and run them down the back of each leg, bifurcating the muscles, helping the legs sit down a little better. And then anticipate what you'll need. You'll do a forward bend and just kind of check out the distance between your forehead and your legs and just filling in that negative space with a series of props or maybe just a chair. And then sit back up and take a moment to roll the shoulders back, bringing your hands next to your hips. Inviting the shoulder blades toward the chest. And come to the top of an in-breath, and on your exhale, tilt the pelvis forward. So you're coming forward with a concave or flat back. You're not rounded. Your chest is leading. Your chin is not leading. And then placing your forehead to your first edge, wherever that might be. Again, if you're able to free the hands and palms up and relax shoulders, that's ideal. Keep pressing your legs into the floor, especially rolling the inner knees down. Think about the kneecaps being firmly anchored into the ligaments and muscles that surround them. Firm legs. drawing the heels toward the hips and then feeding that length to the torso, letting the torso lengthen out over the legs. You're a wave of energy here from your heels to your head. Keep paying attention to the height. You might need to reduce it at this point. I'm gonna be here another minute. So again, watching the height, maybe you're able to come down even lower now. So now you're going to come up slowly on an in-breath, all the way up. Moving your props off of your legs. And just sit yourself forward for a moment. Once you're up. We're going to turn the blanket to the corner. We're going to come into our several Upavishta Konasana positions, so the wide legs, forward bending. And you can work with a blanket corner. And again, you just need to make sure that it's enough height under the tailbone and only the tailbone, not the sitting bones. So once you're perched on that little corner, make sure the sitting bones are down on the floor. And then again, if you need to, run your hands across your lower back just to make sure you have that nice upright position. We're going to start with Parshva Upavishta Konasana, meaning we're going to be folding over one leg at a time. So once you're on your little blanket corner, take your legs wide. And then make sure that the toes are standing tall above the heels. So if you have better hip turn out than hip turn in, you'll probably see that you have to correct by taking your toes kind of inwardly. And otherwise, if you turn more inward with your hips than out, you'll have to correct by turning your toes outwardly. So we just want to have the toes above the heels. And again, your legs are firm, pressing down into the floor. We're going to turn to the right to begin with. So overshooting, again, taking that left hand to your right thigh, right hand directly behind you, propping if you need to. Turning well. And notice here how we have to give special attention and extra effort to the left leg. That's our anchor. We're nothing without it. So pressing left leg into the floor. Pressing enough with that hand against your thigh that you can bring that kind of trapped, congested armpit chest area of the left side ribs. Bring it around out of the shadows. And then again, you're only going to release halfway so that you remain pointing at the right leg. And we're going to fold forward. So you're going to gather what you need to get your head down. And you might notice you're starting to get a little lower now because we've done a series of forward bends. We're starting to notice some progress. And also don't judge yourself if you're not really seeing that either. So making sure you're aligning the sternum with that right leg. Come forward, take that first head down position. Make sure it's enough sensation, but not overwhelming, which is kind of the definition of our edge. We're in that sweet spot. And in these Parshva positions, these sideways positions, You have to really be cognizant that we could distort the side body, meaning that squishy or banana-shaped torso, the squishy right side body feeling collapsed. Also the shoulder slope. So try to level off the shoulders. Lots of effort into the left leg pressing down. Turn from that anchor point, turn the torso. We'll be another half minute here. So again, watch the height. Maybe you've graduated off that level you're currently on. Maybe you can drop it down a bit. See if you can rise up on an in-breath, lengthen yourself up. Let yourself float back to the middle space. Make sure you still have that perfect little corner under your tailbone. You might have slipped off, so make sure you still have it. And we'll start by turning now to the left leg. Go ahead and take your right hand over to the outer left thigh, left hand right behind you. Turning as upright as you can, really pressing down actively with your right leg. Relax your jaw. Think about shrinking the gap between your right back of your knee and the floor. Also with the ankle and the floor. Even though you can't see your right toes, try to sense that they're still in line with the heel. And after an exhale, come out halfway. So you remain very squared up with your left leg. You're going to set up your supports so the head can come down. I forgot to mention, we always have that namaste position too, with elbows connecting with props and hands to the forehead. That's another really good one to raise the height up to your head. Once the head touches down, immediately bring your attention to that right leg on duty. Press it down to the floor. Turn the trunk away from that anchor. Keep steering the trunk to the left. Keep extending the torso with every in-breath. Lengthen. Imagine both of your heels moving toward your hips. Notice how that feeds length to the torso. Level your shoulders and try to restore spaciousness to the left side body. Imagine someone's grabbing hold of your left hip and they're just moving that flesh back. They're helping you open that space. Just 3 more breaths here. Rising up on an in-breath. Letting your torso naturally turn back to that middle space. And now we're going to move forward. So this is a great opportunity for the inclined bolster if that's accessible. Otherwise, the chair. Otherwise, something lower. Maybe you don't need the inclined bolster. But the thing about the inclined bolster that's nice is there's levels of height to work with. There's a higher point, there's a lower point. So you can work with this bolster and continue to deepen by moving the bolster forward and getting lower. Once you have what you're going to use set up in front of you, Bring your hands next to your hips. And now we have to press both legs down. Think about the gapping behind the knees, shrink it down, extend through your heels, lengthen the backs of the ankles. And then tilting the pelvis forward, coming forward with that flatter concave lumbar, chest is lifted and spread. Try to land your head, keeping that integrity. Finding your first edge. Make sure your nose is free and clear. And watch the rotation of the legs here. There's a tendency for the legs to come out of their alignment. So keep whatever your corrections are. Remember, some of us have to do more turn out. Some of us have to do more turn in. Keep those toes right above your heels. And imagine with every exhale, someone's gently pushing their thumbs on the lower inner corners of your shoulder blades. Just gently. Tilting those little scapulas toward your chest to keep your chest in the sunlight. Keep tracking with that edge. Maybe it's time to go lower. Four more breaths. Remember to use an in breath to lengthen up, come all the way up. We can move the props out of the way. We will do one more pose with our Upavishta legs. So working toward Parshva Paravrita Upavishta Konasana. So that means we're working toward each leg individually, but attempting to move into that revolving position. So the first stage of it is we're just going to bring our right hand in front of our right knee or wherever that shows up for you. It might be your inner thigh more. And you may need to work with a block for the next couple of poses, so just have one nearby. We're going to be moving toward the right leg, but to begin the revolving version of the pose, we have to turn away from that right leg. So with this right hand down, take your left hand to the back of the head, and then pressing into your right hand, turn your chest to the left. Take that left elbow tip higher and slightly farther back. And then you're going to extend the left arm up and slightly toward the right toes. So this is stage one. Use that right hand to keep rotating the torso from the right to the left. So remember in the first version of the pose where we fold over the leg, the chest faces the leg. And now in this revolving version, essentially the back body eventually will face the leg. So we're just kind of trying to gently rotate the entire torso. Okay, so that's stage one. Inhale, use the top arm to kind of lift you out of it. We'll keep with this side for stage two. So I'm going to ask you to just put a block down inside the right leg. You may not need it, but I think it's helpful. So you decide if you need it once you're there. But we're going to attempt to get the forearm down now. So we're working with a little less of an upright position. Forearm down, palm facing up. And you're going to take your left hand, just press down on the left thigh for now. Use the forearm against the block to help you begin that process of pressurizing and revolving the torso. It's going to help to take your gaze kind of in the direction that you're attempting the spine to go in. So just keep looking kind of up towards the left corner of the room. Gently roll the left shoulder back. And as you kind of develop this, you might recognize that you can free the left arm and bring it up and over toward that right foot. You might also notice that wasn't a good choice and that you just collapsed your right side body. So you have to work in stages with these things to keep the integrity. Beautiful. Now inhale, use the top arm to lift you up and out of it. And exhale, bring the arm down. So I wanted to finish today with just a little bit of a back bend. We'll do another one too, just to start to neutralize this series of deep forward bends. So the revolving Parshva Parivrtta Upavishna Konasana is not only a mouthful, but it's a good way to start bringing more neutralness to a forward bending practice. So we don't need the block just yet. We're going to kind of tent up our right hand. You might be able to put the full palm down. You might need the length with tenting up the fingers. Again, we're going to take the right hand to the back of the head. Just bring the elbow tip up and back. Press down on your fingertips or the full hand. Start to revolve your torso. You're looking to the right. Think about your back body starting to turn and see more of that left leg. Keep working with that right elbow tip, guiding that scapula toward the chest. Two more juicy exhales here. And now maybe reaching the arm, taking the hand from the back of the head and extending the arm, the hand toward the left foot. Keep using your left hand to gently roll the left side ribs forward, the right side ribs back. Watch that you don't bug out your eyes, harden your temples, or clamp your jaw. We'll keep those things soft. After a nice juicy exhale, inhale, lengthen yourself upright. Bring the arm down. And we'll prop the forearm. So again, the block, you can use whatever height you need, low, medium, tall, maybe zero, maybe you don't need a block. And we'll rest the left forearm down, palm up. Okay, right away we have to return some spaciousness to the left side body. Hand to the back of the head, pressurizing that forearm down, trying to revolve the torso. Help use your gaze to help guide the direction you want your torso to move in. Use that elbow tip, lift it up and press it back. And deciding if it's available to you, I forgot to have you start with the pressing the hand on the thigh. So that would be kind of a backed up step. If you need a little more groundedness, you start with the hand pressing on the thigh. Then you move the hand to the back of the head. Then you maybe reach and extend the arm toward the left foot. So you have to kind of discern where you need to be. Keep pressing both legs into the ground. 3 more juicy exhales. And make sure you use an inhale to lift you up. Beautiful. Now, finally, sliding those legs to center. Scoot forward and off your blanket tip. Bend your knees. Bring your hands back so your arms are at an angle, your fingertips pointing back. Roll your shoulders back, like your sunbathing position. Shoulder blades toward the chest, head toward the ceiling. And so we're going to finish with a bridge pose, but I want to put our arms inside of, I want to put our wrists inside of a strap. So hopefully you still have your Baddha Konasana loop. If you don't, you can make one again. And you're going to cinch it down to, it's got all twisted here, to the loop being circumference of your shoulder girdle. So we want to try it on for size, put it between the wrists. Like you're holding a platter on your palms, you should see that your wrists are approximately as wide as your shoulders. We're going to take a block for support. You'll come onto your back. And you take a low or medium horizontal block under your sacrum. And then once you're elevated onto the block with the sacrum, you're going to put your hands, wrists, I should say, inside that loop, palms up. And then take a moment to just kind of rock the outer upper arms down and scoop those shoulder blades toward your chest, rocking the head, the chin toward the chest, drawing your right leg toward your chest, and then extending the right leg up. Use your arms so your grounded body is really active here. You're pressing down with the arms and trying to lift the chest as well. Now go ahead and bend the right knee, step down with the foot. We're going to do the right leg coming up again, but before we do that, extend your left leg. So you're resting on the left heel, left leg is extended. Draw the right leg in again. Extend the right leg up. And this time actively press down with your left heel. Okay, start to bend the right knee, step down. Bring your left foot back under the knee. Make sure your thumbs are sitting down as much as your pinkies are. And now draw the left leg in. Extend the leg up. And use all of your grounded body, including your right foot, to bring some lightness and buoyancy and extension to your left leg. And now we'll just bring the left foot down again so that we can safely extend our right leg. Take your right leg out, rest on the heel, toes above the heel. And now again, draw the left leg in and extend the leg up. Pressing all of that foundation down to bring that lightness to your left leg. Chin to chest. Shoulder blades into the chest. Bending the left knee again, stepping down. Last but not least, extend the left leg so both legs are extended, toes above the heels. Scoop the tailbone toward the ceiling. Try to flatten the lumbar curve. Kneecaps pointing up, inner thighs rolling down. Reach out through the inner ball mounds. And if your rib cages are blasting open, zip them together. This gives your back body a lot more support. Zip your inner front ribs together. Good. Now bend the knees. Free the arms. And lifting your hips, come off the block, move it out of the way. Hug the legs in. And just circle the knees around in each direction. So a few times clockwise, a few times counterclockwise. And then anything else that needs to happen before final resting pose, which is our pose of stillness. So anything that wants to move or shift or stretch. If you need clothing or supports behind your head or knees, over your eyes. Taking the pose of integration, pose of zero effort. Surrendering anything the body is still holding on to physically. We're starting the process of surrender with the outermost sheath, the flesh, releasing tension from all of your skin. Releasing muscle from bone. Inviting softness to all of your internal organs, including your brain. Abiding by the flow of your breath. Just really relishing in the residue of awareness that we cultivated with this practice today. Moving through stuckness in the body, stuckness in the heart and the brain. Using our own efforts to create spaciousness and freedom in crowded places. These last few breaths, just imagine your favorite color and let that color be a dye that fills your entire body with the in-breath. And as you exhale, try to eliminate all of the color from the body. Again, repeating with the in-breath and just filling yourself with that color. Make sure it reaches all the extremities, the nooks and crannies, the forgotten places in the body. And watching it ooze from the body, completely emptying the color from the body. Catching back up with your automatic breathing. And just resting there for a few more cycles of breath. Begin to invite small movements. Begin to move your wrists and ankles. Maybe rock the head. Begin to bend your knees and elbows. And then help yourself to one side of your body. And when you arrive there, just resting again, not in any rush, moving at the speed of presence. And as gently as you can, using your hands pressed down against the floor to bring yourself up to seated. And And once you're seated, joining the hands together in front of the heart. Drop the shoulders like the feathers of an arrow. Let the crown of the head be the tip. Lift the corners of the mouth. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and let it go. In the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within each of you. Namaste. All right. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you soon again, I hope. Enjoy the beautiful day. Bye.